On 3D tonight, 250,000 people missing. Chasing the racers, bike beat. And living under the rule of the drug lords. Good evening and welcome to 3D. Every day about 700 people walk out of the door and simply go missing. Their families will contact the police, but unless there's some clue as to where they might have gone, there's very little they can do. But now there are people actively trying to help. The Missing Persons Bureau is a charity that's been set up with the sole purpose of searching for those who've disappeared.
A 250,000 people are missing at any one time. That's the population of Derby. Many of those who are missing head for London. 22-year-old Chris Dray searches for them.
At times, to try and find someone, it could be like looking for a needle in a haystack, especially in London. But I think using all the resources that we've got available to us, it can work, and it has worked. I'm going to be going out tonight.
There's no national register of missing people. The Missing Persons Bureau is the only organisation which searches for missing people and supports the families left behind. One of their cases is Mark Garvey. He was 15 when he disappeared from his home in Liverpool 6 years ago.
He came home from school and he had his tea and then he got a shower and then he went out to meet his girlfriend. And then so he didn't come home that night.
Dot doesn't know what has happened to Mark, but she keeps his bed ready for his return.
Every day is bad, but his birthdays and Christmases and that, we just keep thinking that he's going to get in touch or phone or send a card. We just don't know anything, you know. When people ask you how many children you've got and that, well, you say 4, but then you can't explain about Mark because you don't know yourself, so it's awkward. And the other children, it's awkward for them to answer what's happened to them, because we don't know.
Well,
the Bureau searches for the young and most vulnerable. Tonight, Chris is to go looking for 2 runaway girls.
Well, Soho is quite an addictive place. A lot of people go there anyway. A lot of tourists go there, and a lot of young people will pass through there, even just out of curiosity to see what's going on. There have been incidences where young girls have been working in the clubs. When I say young, around 14 years old, the police have got girls out of that age.
No, never give up hope. You know, she probably will be in touch. You know, I can't.
Missing Person Helpline.
Truthful. I can't.
Yes, speaking.
For the families left behind, the Bureau's helpline is the only place to turn.
I know, but you know how well we know our children. There's always one that you don't know really as well as you think you do.
All right, mate. Can I show you a couple of posters to see if you recognise them? I don't know whether you've seen her around at all. You haven't seen her. And this is the second one. Her name's Deborah. She has been seen around the Soho and Embankment areas. She could well be coming into a place like this, you know. You haven't seen her at all. Well then, thanks a lot anyway, yeah, mate? Yes, okay, you take care. Thanks a lot for looking posters.
I still keep seeing him as 15 when he left. I can't imagine him older, but we had his picture done in America of what he'll look like now. I think it is a good likeness, but it's hard to tell because I can't imagine him looking 20, you know, but, you know, they've done a really good job. I'm glad I've got it because it's a help because I've got that picture of him, what he looks like now. Our lives are standing still till he comes back. We're just going to hope that in the future that we will hear something.
This is called Brunswick, or the Ramp, and basically what it is, it's an underground car park. I don't particularly like coming down here. It can be very dangerous, it can be hostile. The smell down here is absolutely appalling. Do you come across a lot of kids doing this at all usually? Not usually, no.
No.
But you don't recognise these two anyway?
No.
All right, well, thanks. If you can put that in the van. Cheers. This is the first one.
She looks very familiar. Where was it? I was down Victoria yesterday, Victoria Station. And most of the kids in that hang out, all the boys and rubbish.
Was she on her own or was she with a group of people?
She was with a group of people, you know, older people than her. Like 18, 19-year-olds, you know. You find that most of the young kids around here knock about with the elders, you know, because the elders look after them.
I think it's so important to find missing people because of the void left behind. I mean, people have nothing to grieve for. They every day wake up wondering, are they cold, are they warm, has something happened to them, are they alive, are they dead? I mean, I think it's terribly important to know the answer so you can get on with your life.
Piccadilly, I mean, it's got all the flashing lights, lots of people, it's got a great buzz about it, and it can be a fun place. But, I mean, there's a lot of other things going on outside here that people just aren't going to be aware of. For instance, I mean, you get a lot of the rent scene, and that's young boys who are prostitutes hanging around and working from outside the fast food restaurants. Londoners in themselves just coming in will recognise it as just a set of shops and a set of nightclubs and everything, and aren't going to see what's actually going on. I'll do a lot of observations here and just basically sitting around, hanging around, just seeing who's here, what's going on. And if we are seeing anybody that's young or a vulnerable missing person, then if appropriate, just try and take some action to try and help them. There's a lot of different things that could go on at a railway station, particularly like Euston. For most people, I mean, they're going to pass through on a railway station within 2 or 3 minutes and not take in any of the things that's going on around them. You've got a rent scene that's happening, and they use the toilets on Euston Station. Also, you've got a lot of homeless people that hang around. Just on the stations, they've got nowhere to go until the stations kick them out. You get fresh arrivals, those new down, and very often it is the case that you can approach them and get them into a place of safety before they get tied up in any of the hassles of London.
Every single day I think about him. Just wish I knew that he was safe, and then we'd be really happy. We just like starting our lives again. Be just like, I keep thinking if he did come back, it'd just be too much happiness that you just couldn't describe it. It'd be like in heaven.
In its first year, the Missing Persons Bureau has traced 257 vulnerable missing people. There were 2 reported sightings of Mark Garvey on the south coast last month, which his mother Dot is following up. If you have any information on Mark, or if you have a missing family member, ring the Missing Persons Bureau on 081 392 2000. That number will be repeated at the end of the programme. The last fortnight has seen the annual trip by thousands of motorcycling enthusiasts to the Isle of Man for the TT races. Part of the attraction is the opportunity to race around the island themselves. This year, 10 of them died in accidents. In Cheshire, the police are taking a new approach to the dangerous combination of young men and motorcycles. An unmarked police motorbike has been equipped with onboard video to capture the antics of speeding bikers and to show them the risks they're taking with their lives.
Can you hear me, Jimbo? Yeah, the spray coming towards you, horrendous, the racing.
When was it, Rio? Give a roll again,
The view from the camera mounted on the front of Cheshire's unmarked police bike. It's on patrol on one of the county's winding country roads, which attract motorcyclists from across Britain to push their bikes to the limit.
They actually come into Cheshire, people from outside come in just to test their bikes. The general feeling is, yes, that something needed doing about the motorcyclist who use the particular stretch of road as a racetrack. In 1 year, we had 11 deaths of motorcyclists. Quite a carnage when you think about it, 11 youngsters in 1 year in a small part of Cheshire. We felt we had a duty to act.
The police response was the unmarked video bike, operated by PC's Jim Farmer and Chris Weller, officers with over half a century of riding experience between them.
The interest has been unbelievable, really. I think there's a lot of police forces who are actually going to have these unmarked video bikes. We've got one particular problem, as you know, it's that A537, the Macclesfield to Buxton Road, where motorcyclists use this road as a racetrack, and that's exactly it. I mean, they see how fast they can go around the bends, they overtake each other, they ignore double white lines. At least with this video bike that we've got, we have a chance of stopping these motorcyclists.
Jim set off to patrol the A537, with Chris following in an unmarked police car.
We've witnessed situations and videoed them with this motorcycle that have been close to death. I can't believe the risk people take with their lives, because all they're doing is getting to the destination seconds earlier.
OK, if we just go to the bike, then I'll show you where you went wrong.
That's what you mean,
there, you're doing your overtake.
Yeah,
see the white lines?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Solid.
Yeah.
OK.
Yeah, I know what they mean.
You've realised you've done wrong now?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're there for a reason, aren't they?
I know what they're there for.
Yeah. OK. Point taken.
Yeah, I'm getting done. Might as well tell me right, I'm getting done.
On this occasion, I'm going to give you a caution.
Thanks.
OK.
You're always going to get the person who thinks it's sneaky, but it isn't a game. We're out with this bike, hopefully, to reduce serious injury, road traffic accidents. There's one bike behind us overtaking on the white lines now, totally ignoring us. If Jim Farmer does stop the motorbike that's in front, I'll have words with him myself, because as I say, he's overtaken us, this car, twice, both times overtaking double white lines. Oh, he's overtaking Jim now. In the car, no chance, absolutely no chance. I mean, we're going quite well now, but we're not even making ground on them at all, are we? That's why, you know, a plain video bike is necessary to do the job, to try and catch some of these riders. Stopped him out at the near side of the road, we'll pull up behind.
You completely chop right through the bend, because it's got double white lines on it. You can't do that.
You remember overtaking us? You've overtaken us on 2 occasions. On both occasions, you've overtaken where there's double white lines. It's obvious to me that you totally ignore these white lines, and I'm reporting you for that offence. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. What you say may put into writing and give evidence, okay? 90% of the motoring public have absolutely no problem whatsoever, and nothing to fear about this bike. The ones who go out every single day of their lives, risking other people's lives, they're the ones that really should be worrying, because if they carry on doing that, they'll be losing their licence.
Is that Chris?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got an RTA with a load of bikes up here, just around the bend.
Yeah, Roger, understood. Did you hear that? There's an accident. Someone's gone over the hedge, by the looks of it. I don't know what his injuries are. Lost control, over the wall, and this is where he's ended up. And this is when motorcycling isn't fun, when we end up like this. If we can get up here, sort some of the lads out who go too fast, then we'll prevent this sort of accident.
The rider suffered head and chest injuries and broken legs. The pillion passenger is paralysed from the waist down.
A motorcyclist in a road accident is 26 times more likely to be killed than a car driver. In some places, poverty is such that getting involved in crime can seem the only route to wealth. We've been to one of the most famous cities in the world and found that 1/3 of the inhabitants live in areas controlled by the drugs trade. For young people born into absolute poverty, the heavily armed drug gangs represent the nearest thing to the good life they'll ever have.
Rio, glamorous retreat for rich tourists. Home to Brazil's wealthy upper class. Yet the gap between rich and poor is the largest in the world. At least 1/3 of Rio's inhabitants, more than 3 million people, look down on the city from these desperately poor shanty towns, or favelas. There's no work and no future for the young people here. Increasingly, they're turning to drugs and guns, enticed by the money and power of the gangs that run these favelas. Father Edmund Leasing, an American priest, works in one of Rio's most dangerous favelas. Cooperation with the drug gangs is essential and unavoidable. It's enabled him to build a creche for the community's children. He's one of the few people willing to talk about the influence of the gangs, about the cycle of poverty and violence.
The first thing you got to have when you deal with the drug gang, and to know the drug gangs, you got to have a sense of humor. Because the whole thing is a very serious business played on a very superficial level. These poor slobs have a chance to get some money that they never could get if they decently worked for a company.
Wealthy Brazilians come here to buy cheap drugs. The gangs have complete control of the favelas. They operate freely and do little to conceal their activities.
12 years ago, they were a hidden group. They were behind the scenes. No one knew who they were. And now they've got the favela. There is not one family in any of these favelas that is not either indirectly or directly in contact or in relationship with the drug gangs. They're either married to, they've been committed by, or they've been bought off by, or sentimentally they've been attracted to the drug gangs because they give little things away constantly as a very beautiful carrot, as we used to call it, the assistance idea.
Nós aqui somos amigos da comunidade.
Listen, here we are friends of the community because we treat the community well, and we do our best for them as friends.
Como amigos.
The government has largely abandoned this favela, ironically named Hill of Pleasures. The water supply is barely sufficient. There are no schools, no hospitals. Community events are funded by the drug gang. The gang even buys presents for the children at Christmas.
Everybody wants to be in a business. Everybody wants to earn a living. No one wants to live like a beggar. And the drug gang gives the guy a position. He's socially a very top-class man in the favela because he runs the thing.
Why did you join the drug gang?
For work reasons. Work is scarce in Brazil. You earn very little. I had a trade. I'm a qualified plumber.
Do you earn a lot more in the gang?
Of course I do. The gang pays 10 times more, 20 times more.
Work in Brazil is a joke. A wage is a joke. It's only enough to die of hunger.
It's slave labor.
The gangs may provide opportunities unavailable elsewhere, but the stakes are high. In a recent conflict between rival gangs, nearly 100 people were killed in just 1 month. This is Rio's drug squad. They launch regular armed raids into the favelas, using the very weapons they've captured from the gangs. Confrontations are inevitably violent, and many of these raids end in death. But for the most part, the regular police force stay out of the favelas in exchange for bribes and payoffs.
The police are part of the whole thing. The police receive a rotten salary, and the police are a low class. It's corruption in a very professional way. This never comes out in public. The drug gangs put people in the police, and the people in the police leave the police to go into the drug gangs.
For youngsters, the incentives to join the gangs are hard to resist.
A very fine young fellow that we started out with at 7 years old. When he was 18, we put him to work as the director of the youth of the favela. In no time, the drug gang nailed him. In a nice sense, they attracted him. They said, gee, how much do you earn? And immediately they doubled what we were giving him. So naturally, he was going to go where the money is.
For years, Father Leasing has watched poverty force young Brazilians into the gangs. But for those in the favela who attempt opposition, the gang's response can be swift and brutal.
They picked off a guy right on the door of the creche, riddled him with bullets, killed him right there because he was going to stop them. So you can imagine how the people were frightened. They'd kill him at the drop of a hat. There's no police protection in that sense. Somebody just dies.
For the children of the favelas, the future is bleak. The poverty is getting worse, and the gangs are growing stronger. There are few alternatives.
It may seem extreme to make comparisons between Brazil and Britain, but 27 guns have been seized in the Moss Side area of Manchester, and there have been 60 reported shootings there since last summer.